Hi folks, good evening. I hope you're well. Sunday. Um, I watched with interest, I say interest, last night, a couple of videos on YouTube, and I thought I'd mention them to you. One was about Alan Turing, who was the terrifically minded mathematician, logistician as well, who cracked the Enigma code. You'll know the Enigma code, of course, by the Enigma machines used by the Germans in the Second World War to encrypt their secret messages. And Turing, on day two of these things hitting the scene, rapidly went off to Bletchley Park to volunteer his services. This wonderful genius of a human being who was so ahead of his field. He was truly the Tesla of mathematics, I thought. And he was a world leader in this such a young age. And I thought, well, that was an interesting video. That demonstrated to me, the sheer tenacity of the man. And get this, they couldn't contain themselves, these shysters who run the show. The fact is the guy committed himself. Turing shortened the period of the war, the Second World War, by at least 2 years, which could have meant the existence or non-existence of you yourself. You don't know who would have been killed for those further 2 years, do you, really? So, we have him to thank for shortening the war. I mean, the irony of the whole thing, of course, is that Britain lost the Second World War in 1942. We truly did. Hitler offered us terms. And Winston Churchill and the rest of our ethnic brethren, not too far from Syria, wanted the war to continue. Yes, the bankers wanted the war. It was a bankers' war. Not only did we need not fight the First World War, which was down to some jerk getting shot, we had to stick our noses in, it's a matter of national pride. The Second World War was equally nothing to do with Britain, quite frankly. It truly wasn't. It was about Germans' designs, Hitler's designs on Poland, which had already been ransacked, quite frankly. And we had to stick our nose in. And how did that create a world war? A local skirmish in Poland. By Germans and Polish. Let them sort it themselves out. We're an island. We don't have this problem. It's sorry about your problem, mate, but we've got a country to run here. We got islands, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, Southern Ireland. We got our own problems. No, we had to to get in there. We wanted to fight. And so really both wars, the first and second, were absolutely unnecessarily long. The Second World War didn't need to be involved with after 1942. We could have accepted Hitler's terms, who had no designs on Britain. Thanks very much. He was very pro-British, as you would expect for a bunch of Germans, because obviously the royal family were German. Oh yes, we'd already been invaded at that point, and we still are invaded by a German royal family. The Saxon-Coburg-Gothas, in case you don't know. Yes. And one of the Ponces went off to live in Germany, didn't he? During this, he abdicated, didn't he? So, enough said on that one. So I watched that video. I thought, well, Britain did itself a big disservice in the Turing video, because what they did with Turing was, when he'd served his purpose, unbeknownst to a lot of people at the time, Turing was a self-confessed homosexual. He made no secret about it. But the hypocrites waited till he'd served his country and then decided to, at the very end, prosecute him. And it got to such an extent and national disgrace for poor Turing, that he committed suicide by eating an apple which contained arsenic. Committed suicide, this wonderful, wonderful human being, Alan Turing. And the gratitude then of the nation, it's a joke. But of late they've tried to rectify the situation by making a couple of statues of the poor sod. Was he holding an apple? Begs the question, doesn't it? Rather be holding an apple than a calculator, I suppose. But now you see, if he were gay, people would be celebrating. Oh, he's a fag. Oh, whoopee bloody do. Is it LGBT? Oh, did he putt from the rough, or was he AC/DC? We'd all be interested in this. But in them days, you see, it was such a disgrace to be a homosexual. Well, most people popping out of Harrow and Eton are homosexual. Most. Lots and lots of the politicians currently sitting are known to be homosexual / paedophile. No, zipper, nada, nothing said. Such hypocrisy. And this is what really doesn't want to make you feel as though you're a proud Brit, does it really? The hypocrisy of the state. And we look at the waste as well. We get bombarded with turn the lights off, save electricity, global warming, or what they call climate change. They've had to concede that there isn't any global warming. It's a perfectly natural process of warming and cooling, warming and cooling. So they've had to, of course it's climate change. It's a perfectly natural thing to do. So what? It's destroyed the Green Party, of course. The global warming brigade. It's a lot of nonsense. And the blots on the landscape now, I'm sick of it, I tell you. Driving along, looking at these bloody blots on the landscape called wind turbines. You can't look anywhere now, certainly around the Midlands and Norfolk, and even off the coast of Norfolk. Bloody Prince Charles has got these things going on all over, and they are so inefficient. Most of them are standing still, a bit bored. And the wind's not strong enough, but who's paying? Well, they certainly don't pay for themselves, do they? So, we waste money. We waste money in so many ways. Yet we're supposed to be saving money. Save money so we can waste it. That's the principle behind it all, isn't it? And this is just crazy. There's not enough. And I watched another video last night also about a bunch of toffs in a big room, and there were some academics. They'd all written books, and there was this lawyer, a diplomat / MP, a couple of, these people had published books. And they were discussing the Magna Carta, coincidentally. I mentioned the Magna Carta in my video yesterday, but I thought, well, what a coincidence. The Magna Carta, screaming joke, of course. And it bears no resemblance or no real interest to most people nowadays. But these people spent an hour talking. I was foolish enough to listen for an hour, but I was keen to get to the questions at the end, listen to the people. I could have skipped forward, but I would have missed the point. And it was insane what they were debating about the nuances and what was meant and what did the Magna Carta do for us commoners. Well, very little, quite frankly, apart from the freedom of, what? Do we have any freedoms? We don't have any freedoms. Because if we had freedoms, we wouldn't have the invasion of privacy, would we, in our lives? But one would argue, wouldn't one, that all those worried about being listened into by the surveillance services, what have we got to worry about? I mean, personally speaking, you and I really don't know who's listening into our telephone conversations. Even if they said they weren't doing it, Gov, it ain't us, Gov. We have no idea. We have no idea who we're being surveilled by, because the clever thing about surveillance is that you won't know about it. And we only know in the general public what is made available for our knowledge base. But like any sort of conspiracy analysts amongst us, we know that the technology that we're aware of in the general public is probably 30 to 50 years behind of what truly is being used upon us. And this is obviously GCHQ, MI5, MI6, you name it, yada yada yada. And the military, of course, they have special grade stuff. They will know what time you clean your teeth every morning. They will know every little peccadillo about you. They will be able to, like a rifle sight, line you up and expose you to such horrendous microwaves that you'll get blinding headaches on a daily basis. You won't be able to concentrate. You'll wander. And now, you see, they proudly proclaim that they have the technology now, they've had it for a long time, of where they can actually, from a drone, shine a frequency at the microchip of your car, which controls the brakes and everything about your car, the speed of the car, yada yada yada, the safety features, the airbag, the central locking, you name it, that microchip on your car, your modern car, can be disabled and they can take it over. What should we do with them? Should we make them do 110 miles an hour or just 80? Yeah, but you can only do about 30 around there. No, less, you know. So you're driving along down at 70 miles an hour and suddenly your accelerator doesn't work, your brakes don't work, and you have lost total control of your car. Can you imagine the horror? Well, they could do that to you. They've done it to a couple of people in America already and wiped them out. They turned one guy, his whole engine exploded, and he careered into a tree. He was dead before he hit the tree. Of course, they've had to get the body parts in the bag. This is what they can do. And we worry about people listening into our conversation. Get real. You know, I don't personally give a rip who listens to my conversations. What I don't know don't hurt. And I don't have any such secrets in my life anyway. You know, what time you having tea, Terry? What time do you want it? What time are the kids home? All this insane chatter. And if you listen to a majority of what people find, I'll tell you to put it into context. If you and I have a phone, okay, we're husband and wife, I'll say, phone me if you've got any problems, love. Yeah, okay, sweetie pie. And off you go. And you knew that you're going to pick that phone up and phone your husband or your wife. It's going to cost you £10. Would you pick the phone up? No, you see. You think, it's 10 quid. You know, I'm going to be 5 minutes late. Is it worth 10 quid phone call? But now we've got these contracts that we get free use. Well, we don't get free use. We pay £25 a month. Unlimited usage, because they don't want you to limit your use. The more you say, the more you're going to drop yourself in their shit. And they're going to data capture everything, every conversation you have on your mobile phone and your Skype and your FaceTime is somewhere in this world recorded, whether you know it or like it or not. And that is oh so true. This is George Orwell's gone mad. But what pisses you off is that the government makes such a big thing about wasting money. Taxpayers' money. It's a waste of taxpayers' money. Well, the United Nations is a waste of taxpayers' money, quite frankly. It's achieved nothing. Nothing. Absolutely pointless. It's a wogs club, basically. That's what it amounts to. Sorry to be so racist there, but that's what it is, because any other country can look after itself, thanks. It seems to be a bunch of whingers moaning about why they can't have, and, you know, the South Africans, although they, you know, look what they did to Rhodesia. You know, who's going to benefit out of the collapse of South Africa? I can give you a hint. Israel. That's right. There is no appetite, excuse the pun, for saving the farmers in South Africa, because the grand plan there, of course, is to starve everybody into compliance, because there's close on to 200 to 300 gangs, if you like, tribes. I mean, it just strikes me how I can just visualise these black men with spears with bones through their nose. You know, I just visualise this. But apparently they're a bit more advanced than that now. But, you know, they are cutting their own throats by getting rid of all the white farmers, exactly like they did in Rhodesia. Yes. And everybody starved, and there had to be an airdrop of food, didn't there, to stop them starving to death. Well, that will happen sooner or later in South Africa. But South Africa, no interest in man nor beast, quite frankly. You know, I'm more interested in the flora and fauna of South Africa than I am of the local residents, quite frankly. And the reason I qualify that is that what have the local residents done for the country lately? Nada, apart from breed and consume, and not put anything back. At least the farmers were planting seeds and feeding the folk. But no, they've been superseded by the latest jet black model that will, oh my God, how do I plant this? How do I use a tractor? When should I plant it? What fertiliser do I need? This is all a lot of nonsense, isn't it? Because they want South Africa cleared of the humans, because there's one mineral, rare earth mineral, found only in South Africa, that is the absolute essential ingredient to manufacture steel. Absolutely. And it's only found in South Africa. And the same can be said for some of the Golan Heights, now being occupied, I believe, or well, mined, by Chinese, under the guidance of the Israelis, of Israel. And the Golan Heights do not technically belong to Israel, they are Palestinian. But there again, I have very little sympathy for Israelis or Palestinians, quite frankly, because I think they're as bad as one another. I think that I'm growing tired, rapidly tired now, of the plight of the Palestinians, because they don't do themselves any favours, and they don't protest too much. And never a day goes by without them whinging, yet they still attack, and kill. They're just as bad. Now, if the Palestinians said, we're unarmed, and we're not going to be throwing anything over the walls, and we're just going to stand here with our hands folded and say, look what they're doing to us, the world will be a little bit more sympathetic. I'm just sick and tired of the bloody whingers. You know, Muslims this, Israelis that. But get over yourselves, will you? You're not that important in real life. Honestly, you're not. What has Palestinians got for us lately? Well, quite frankly, what has Israel got for anybody? It's a plot of land, that's all, that used to belong to Palestine, and now bought out by the Rothschilds property magnate, given as a homeland. Just one homeland. You'll notice that it isn't a country, Israel. It's actually a state of Israel. But I've heard people describe it as, you know, the country. It's not. Okay. Israel is not a country. But it has its own flag, its own national identity. But when you consider, not that I'm being anti-Semitic, that only 2% of the people in America, yes, North America, are, dare I say, Jewish. How is it that, well, how is a nation that is only 2% Jewish, okay, by statistic, how come just 2% are so influential on such a landmass against 98% of others? You see the power. And it's the money, of course, slap on my thigh, it's the money, of course it is. Yes, it's the Israeli lobby runs America, folks, and if you don't believe that, you're on the wrong planet. But just 2%, you can see, and it's just the 2%ers, really. I mean, most people who are Jewish in America don't give a shit that they're Jewish. It means nothing to them, quite frankly. But the ones that really, really, really matter, the ones with the money, it's not the 2%ers that I'm worried about in America at all. At all. It's those 1%ers in the Israeli lobby. Yes, that's the ones who control America, and they control, like puppet masters, everything that goes on. Doesn't matter about the 2%, worry about the 1% or the 0.5%ers, folks, as I said in my video last night. So we can get bent out of shape with all this stuff. And I'm getting progressively pissed off with it all. I think, do you know what? I'm only little me in the street. Word on the street in it, though. Yeah, I took the red pill a long time ago, then realised that it really simply doesn't matter whether you vote or not. It doesn't matter. It truly doesn't, because the same bastards will get in, and even if the people you want to get in, they're going to be controlled, aren't they? By the 1%ers. So we're screwed one way or the other, and we are. This is why the blue pill people, they suffer terribly, because they can't think they're doing everything right, they think. And why is it still going so wrong? Well, wait till they take the red pill and see what happens. Watch their heads explode. But you've got to be reasonably mature and be prepared to say, I've been wrong all this time in my life and suddenly I've woken up. It's quite an enlightenment, isn't it? Suddenly realising that no matter what we do, we're impotent. Speak for yourself. Joking apart, we are absolutely impotent. Because ultimately they will always have control over us. And despite this program on the Magna Carta last night, it still proves that, yes, we can have rights. What good are they? There are no rights. Because ultimately, even the law courts will still answer at the pinnacle to the 1%ers. They're the ones. We've just got to suck it up. And I suppose that's what happened to the Turin Brigade. And human beings, we have to realise, disposable commodities. So just enjoy yourself, chill out, and realise that sweet FA you can truly do at an effective level. You may as well just look after yourself and yours and let the rest of it float on by. And realising that takes a great weight off your shoulders and gives you reasons to be cheerful. 1, 2, 3, as the song says. Cheer up, live a little, and it'll all work out in the end. The Father, the Son, and in the Holy Ghost, exactly like you will go. Toodle-pip.